Okay,
there.
okay, so we'll put
Right
that
on 79.
Preston's.
Yeah, Preston's. He's
Yeah.
got good.
I've been holding
That's where I
that
put my
footage.
4x8 one time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we'll put it there.
We're in.
Okay, is it on?
Yep.
Good evening, everyone. Before I call the meeting to order, I'd like to point out the exits in the room. There are 2 exits in the back of the room and how we came into the room. At this time, I'll call the regular meeting of the Windsor Town Board to order. It's being live streamed on YouTube. It's May 13th, 2020, 7 p.m. We're at the Windsor Town Hall, 124 Main Street, Windsor, New York, 13865. Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Supervisor Price,
Present.
Deputy Supervisor McIntyre,
Present.
Councilwoman Hawk Schuler,
Present.
Councilman Hutman,
Present.
Councilman Odell,
Present.
Code Enforcement Officer Brown, Highway Superintendent Colbeck, Attorney Sacco,
Present.
I did give Dave the number to call in, so he's just running behind. We'd like to ask all people watching at home, please to enter your name and your street in the comments of the YouTube so that we can keep track of who's in attendance.
Thank you, Liz. The next item on the agenda makes us very proud to make this award. We have a certificate for Tina McCaffrey. It's presented to her in recognition of her outstanding achievement in being named Manager of the Year for New York State by the New York School Nutrition Association. Tina is the kitchen manager over at CR Week School. This is a wonderful honor. She's had a lot of publicity in the media, and they describe how she makes every day special for the students in that cafeteria with jokes and quotes, and it just sounds like it's a wonderful place. So we're very proud of her and very proud of the Windsor Central School District, and we will make sure we get this to Tina. The next item on the agenda is public comments. Persons wishing to comment will be allowed this period of time to do so under the following guidelines. Speakers will be limited to 750 words during a public comment period. Give your name, address, and topic of discussion. Speakers will not be allowed to personally attack any person or persons. The town clerk will read the public comments. A public comment period will be added before the board votes on motions and resolutions that are not on the agenda. Are there any public comments?
We should give it just a couple minutes. I'm gonna say no, because it shows 5 people watching, and nobody,
Make something up, Liz.
other than people signing in to say they're here.
Okay. And the next item on, and there will be an opportunity at the end of the meeting for public comments. The next item on the agenda, is there a motion to approve the minutes of the April 1st, 2020 regular meeting?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Councilman Hutman,
I'll second that.
seconded by Councilman Odell. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion's carried. The next item on the agenda is financial report. There's a financial report for March 2020. And inside the backup of all the funds, I do have some information for the board, which I also will share with the public. Looking at our 5 major funds, and we looked at the remaining revenues, where we were March 31st, 2019, and where we are March 31st, 2020. And actually, in each fund, we are ahead of where we were a year ago. And that is a good thing, leading into the fact that we will have impacts in April and May that we'll begin to see. Especially want to note the quite large increase in revenues in the sewer fund, where a year ago we had 84.4% still outstanding at this time, and this year we only have 64.2% outstanding. So that's very, very good. The latest report from Broome County is estimating that sales tax revenue could be down 20%. That is more than I reported to you at the last meeting when I had information from the New York State Association of Counties. This is a larger number. And if that happens, the 3 funds that get sales tax, I estimate they would be short approximately $73,433, which, if that happened, we would have to appropriate fund balance to cover the loss. We still have unknowns and how other revenues may be affected. We don't know how the revenues from the court will be affected. The unified court system is now allowing 1 person in the courts to come in at a time, so they're starting to open their mail, and we did have 2 checks come into our office today for March and April, so we'll be recording those, and probably at the next meeting we'll have a better idea of where we stand. State aid, we don't know. We are expecting regarding.
Hi, Dave.
How we doing?
Okay, thanks, Dave. So regarding state aid, the areas that could be affected would be AIM, and that is in the general fund, and CHIPS, which is in the highway fund. So highway is on hold with road repairs until we know what's going to happen with that. And we've been told there may be more information from the governor on Friday.
The CHIPS program usually gives highway heads up, and they keep them informed right along. This, of course, is a different situation, but Rocky's only done, to my knowledge, 2 roads, and we told him he better haul it there, and he said okay. The problem we've got, and as everybody on the board knows, and the public I'm sure knows, that we only get a small window to do that work. So if it hangs on and goes too late, there'll be no blacktop, it'll be too cold, there's all kinds of factors that factor in. So we'll just play it like it is and do what we have to do.
Everybody's suffering.
Any other questions from the board? Okay, the next item would be, is there a motion to approve the May bills for payment?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Deputy Supervisor McIntyre,
I'll second it.
seconded by Councilwoman Hawkschuler. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The motion's carried. Is there a motion to appropriate fund balance in the following fund accounts?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Deputy Supervisor McIntyre,
I'll second.
seconded by Councilman Hoffman. And these are 3 of our fire accounts. And the reason for appropriating it is under other tax, the revenues came in a little under what we had budgeted, and we need to bring those up. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion is carried. Is there a motion to pass Resolution 14-2020, to amend the 2020 budget to reflect NYSERDA revenues and expenditures.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Councilwoman Hawk Schuler,
I'll second that.
seconded by Councilman O'Dowd. Discussion. This is related to the clean energy grant at the wastewater treatment plant. And if you look at the wording in it, this will become effective on the date we first have payment. And with what is happening right now, everything is on hold. We don't know when this is going to occur. So this sets up the accounting procedure for how the money comes into what account, and then our expenditures are paid out of an expenditure account. They have to be separate. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed, the motion's carried. Does the board have anything else under financial they wish to bring up? Okay, we'll move to committee department head reports. You have a report from the assessor, which also includes new construction and reassessments. Are there any questions on that report? There is, if people do not agree, of course, people are notified if their assessment changes. They are advised of a grievance process, and that day of grievances is May 26th. And there is complete information also on the website under the assessor's page,
Which is also the public notice in the Windsor Standard.
and it's in the Windsor Standard.
You can easily print it out too. I printed most of it out and read it. It's pretty easy to print.
The next item is cemeteries. Gary, I know you had brought up I believe the South Windsor Cemetery at the last meeting. Is there anything else on that?
Nothing really new, it's on hold because of this COVID. I talked to a representative from Forest Lawn again, so we're gonna meet, but we're just waiting until we can meet person to person. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we're kinda shooting to meet. And then, Glenn Windsor from Colesville, he expressed interest in maybe one of their cemeteries. And I know we were talking earlier about, we might wanna inquire about one of our local cemeteries too here.
Mhm.
Another
Okay.
one, yeah, so it's in the works, we just gotta wait until things get moving along.
Okay,
So,
thank you, Gary. The next item is dog control. Dave, do you have anything on dog control?
No, Floyd's not on right at the moment, but he has been busy. He's had a few late night calls, and I know we have a couple other issues going on right at the moment that he's dealing with.
Okay. We'll move on to economic development, and the survey regarding possible municipal water in West Windsor is in the board's packet, and those are to be returned by today to the Keystone Engineering that's doing the survey for us. And the results of that survey will be presented at our next board meeting on June 10th. I've had one call on it. Has anybody had any calls on it?
I had one call in my office. A lady just questioning what we were looking at, and I just informed her that, it was directed more towards the commercial area there by McDonald's, and it would be an optional thing for residents over there. It wouldn't be mandatory like the sewer. That was her concern.
Right.
And then, of course, how would it be paid for?
Yes.
So I let her know, just basically what we had gone over, that we were looking to have most of it funded. What wasn't funded, hopefully would be paid for by whatever commercial person comes in there.
Okay.
Also, the fact that I wanted to make sure that people understand that they will not be forced on this, and that was
That was her number one question.
in my travels throughout West Windsor, when I spoke to people, that was their number one concern, because they still had bad taste in their mouth over the sewer. So and I wasn't here for that, and I don't know how that proceeded. However, the fact remained that the people were very leery of this project, and I made it clear to them they would not be forced to be on the water. Unlike the sewer, they have a choice. They
Yes,
have a choice.
And that's clear in the survey, and that's what the call was that I got too.
Well, I know that it's clear in the survey, but it needs to be reiterated because
Yeah, I was
That's
gonna say
correct.
it was-
people read and they go, I don't believe
Yeah.
anything I read.
Mm-hmm.
But the truth is, that is the truth.
That's
No-
been from day one.
Nobody will be forced on it. It's not that type of project. So. Just
She
wanted-
actually called twice, and the first time she called, that was her first question. Will we
Yeah.
be made to do this?
Yeah,
I
and
said,
it's what
"Absolutely
I
not."
was presented with at everybody's door. Not everybody, but most doors. I mean, they really wanted to know, hey, this comes by here, am I gonna get the same thing as what happened before? And I said, no, it's not that at all. And I had to give them my word because it's important
You're
that.
holding you to
Absolutely.
it.
So,
Absolutely.
Carol, have you heard anything more on any of the grants or anything you've been?
There is a grant through the Appalachian Regional Council, up to $150,000, and I have to submit some preliminary work on May 20th. The work that Mark and I were doing with the agency and Chamber of Commerce, we're hoping soon to get that going again, because we had a very good meeting over there, and they're willing to help us with some of this. Still could be back to the board for more of a professional grant writer for some of the large ones.
yeah, I think that's where they left it. And then COVID-19 and everybody kind of hunkered down after.
You're gonna
that.
find that that's gonna override everything.
Yeah, it's kind of tough to get anything done
Yep.
right now.
Right, but we do have a letter from a developer who has put in writing,
Have you
That-
spoke to them?
not since I've
Lately?
had the letter, but the
I should
letters,
probably reach out to them again.
yes, the letter's very clear that they want to put in a senior housing apartment for middle-class seniors, and they also want to build townhouses for families there. And of course, seniors could live in them, or families or single people could live in them.
Maybe I'll move in.
Perfect.
You gonna be my neighbor?
Nope.
Okay, so we'll move on, and the next item under E is energy, and I'm going to ask Cheryl Sanko, who is the attorney for the town, to go through the Bluestone Wind case, both numbers of those cases. There's two matters. So Cheryl, if you could bring the board up to date, I'd really appreciate it.
Definitely. Hello, everyone. So under E, under energy, looking at the F case, the 16-F0559, there really is not very much under there. There are two press releases. The first one was a press release released on April 2nd that basically just announced that the board was going to meet. The next press release that was filed on 4/8 actually set the agenda for that meeting, which was the rehearing of the Bluestone matter. It did also address the current pandemic and the procedures in that. And then there was an order after the rehearing, which was filed on 4/9, which did reaffirm the siting board's original approval of the project. And then lastly, there was a press release filed the same day as the order 4/9, basically making it public that the siting board affirmed or reaffirmed its prior approval. That's really all we have for the F matter. The related Bluestone Wind matter, the 19-E0121, you have an attachment, and it seems to make sense to follow Carolyn's procedure in starting at the bottom. So if you look at number 16 at the bottom of your attachment, which is also on the town board's webpage as an attachment, if you look at 16, 15, and 14, they're all related, and they have to do with doing a scheduling order and a ruling on a scheduling order for discovery. So the first item, number 16, is actually a motion from BCCR about that scheduling order. 15 is Bluestone's response to that motion with its own motion. And then 14 is a ruling basically based on those two motions. 13 is a memo of law from BCCR about a motion to compel discovery. They want discovery that they do not think they're getting from Bluestone. 12 is their notice of motion, BCCR, Broome County Concerned Residents, notice of motion on that motion to compel. 11 and 10 are related. 11 is an affidavit, and 10 is an exhibit to that affidavit, all in support of that motion to compel. 9 is another affidavit in support of that motion to compel discovery. 8 is the cover letter for the legal for the Broome County Concerned Residents. 7, 6, 5, and 4 are all exhibits related to that motion. That takes us up to 3, and 3 is a motion for a request for non-disclosure. We don't see what it is, but it's from BCCR. I'm assuming it's also related to their motion to compel disclosure, but we don't know. But just with its filing, it appears to be connected to it. But basically, that's a motion to ask the judge on this, the hearing officer, to redact stuff so the public cannot see it. So all we're seeing is that redaction. And then 2 and 1 are Bluestone's response to all those documents. And 2 is the motion from Bluestone, and 1 is the cover letter from their legal. So that's where we stand. Obviously, we're still in the discovery process, and there's some adversity and some allegations of failure to undisclose, so you have some compulsion motions in here. But that brings us up to at least current, according to this attachment, through 4/17 on the e-matter.
And Cheryl, regarding the 16F0559, is there anything you can update the board on any appeal process in that matter?
So there was, as I went through the application for the rehearing and a reaffirmation, I have not heard or seen any filings on any other appeals. So it's a little bit of a waiting game, but I have not heard or seen any filings. So from right now, there appears to be no further appeal on that right now. Both
Okay.
of the F matter and the E matter are related, so the E matter does matter and is important to the continuation of the whole project. I don't know strategy. I don't know if there will be an appeal on the F matter. I don't know if the refocus is going to be on the E matter. And honestly, I wouldn't expect anybody from either side in this, Broome County Concerned Residents or Bluestone, sharing any strategies at this point with anyone, including the town. But to my knowledge, I haven't seen or heard anything on the F matter after the public hearing. Or I'm sorry, after the press release.
Thank you very much, Cheryl, for clearly explaining that.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
The next item on the agenda is highway. Bill, is there anything in highway?
No report.
Okay. The next is historian.
Yeah, are you gonna receive that truck soon, or did you get it already? Did Rocky get it?
It's not, we don't have it yet, Mark, but the money's in place.
Wondering how it's working out if you have.
Yep. I'm not sure that they received their new one yet, so that's probably the issue, you know.
Yeah.
Before the issue was they wanted to use it for snow removal in case they needed it.
Mm-hmm.
And now, who knows?
Right,
We're controlled by COVID-19.
yeah, okay.
So the next item is senior citizens. We know that they're currently not meeting, so when they start to meet again, we'll update you on that. The next item is the town clerk registrar April 2020 report. Liz, is there anything you wanna highlight on that?
It's been an interesting way to do business. Everyone's adapting, you know, I get a lot of phone calls, a lot of messages I return every day. Most people are used to coming in and paying cash, and that's a little bit of an adjustment for them, but, as far as the, last month we told people, oh, and I didn't write it down, I think it was March, April, and June, if their rabies shots were due during that time, we would waive any late fees. And just so you guys are aware, it's less than 20 people in 2 months that have that, so it's not that big a deal. And anyone else that's called that maybe was at the end of a month, we're kind of just using our
Common
judgment and
sense.
saying, you know, I had somebody call and theirs was due in January and they didn't have it done, and I said, well, you're paying a late fee, I'm sorry. But, you know, someone else called and theirs was due really close to the end of March, and I said, we'll waive it, and I have a little list of people that have called in and told me, so we're
Okay.
keeping track, and I think you're right, Bill, last month when you said it's not that much money, it really hasn't been that many
Right.
people, so it's been good.
Okay. The next item is town hall. Bill,
No
do you have
report.
any- Okay. The next item is wastewater treatment plant. We don't have anything, any update right now.
The flowers out front do look nice growing.
Oh, okay, the tulips back to the
That's it.
town hall.
Yep.
Youth and recreation, do you have any report, Lisa?
Yeah, I spoke with Rhea earlier today, just to see how they were doing. And as everybody else, because of the COVID-19, everything for spring has been officially, formally canceled, and they returned all the registrations that they had received. And that, she said they are trying to plan some summer, travel, softball, baseball, lacrosse tournaments, but it all just depends on when things start to open up that they can do things. So it's probably going to be a shortened season kind of thing, depending. And she said they're planning for fall, so just to watch for information as it comes out. Hopefully, yeah, things get back going.
Right.
Yes, because opening day has been such a huge day in this village for so many years.
For so
and then
long.
to have it, yeah.
It's been a big deal
Yeah.
for all the organizations.
Yeah,
You know, it's a nice
Especially for the
fundraiser for a lot of
children
them.
for
and young people.
everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, code enforcement zoning report. Dave, you're on the phone. Anything you want to highlight in your report?
No, you have my report there. Everything's on there. The one thing that we can highlight a little bit, and I think Mr. McIntyre there, you take a great pleasure of this one here. The demolition on Riley Road really improved the area as far as our trucks and everything else on the road.
That's for sure.
What was that?
And you said, Dave, at the end, you've been very busy with phone calls and interest with building projects.
Yes, I have several of them sitting on my desk that I've been working on. Some of them I've been working on for a good month and a half to 2 months. We are trying to get everything finalized and taken care of, so I have it in for you by June 10th.
Okay, that sounds good. And then there's another letter related to the previous meeting with that tower installation that we put in the packet for the board to see.
Right.
Maybe-
I've read it.
Yeah. Okay.
Actually, Dave and I went over it.
All right, and under other, you have Judge Blythe completed the 2020 continuing judicial education program. You have that certificate. Does the board have anything else under committee department head reports they want to bring up?
Oh, town cleanup, right?
Yes,
that-
that's
There's a
coming up.
Oh, that's coming up. Okay.
Yep. So the next item will be under unfinished business. And this has been out there a while, the request for speed limit reduction on Atwell Hill Road. And we did hear from the DOT in New York State that the speed limit should be reduced to 40 miles per hour. As soon as I received this letter, I let Rocky know, and he was going to carry through with the signs. You remember people had a petition from that area, and this was thoroughly reviewed.
Yeah, he'll receive all measurements and all sign heights and everything for the whole project. and it'll be provided by New York State DOT.
Okay.
So they'll be put up to their specifications, and maybe the ones that handed in that petition should know that we're working on this now, that we finally received. Maybe Rocky could tell his wife.
Well, and I also, one of the people involved, I have, told them,
Yep, good.
so they're aware. It's a good thing.
Yep.
The next item, is there a motion to amend Resolution 7, 2020, Municipal Cleanup Day to new date, July 11th, 2020?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Councilman Hupman,
I'll second it.
seconded by Deputy Supervisor McIntyre. Discussion. I believe the village has already passed this date,
Yes, they have.
and they called us, so. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The motion's carried. Is there a motion to approve Resolution 15, 2020, to approve the Town of Windsor Disaster Emergency Preparedness Plan?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Councilwoman Hawk-Schuler,
I'll second.
seconded by Councilman Huffman. Discussion. We had this at the last meeting and pointed out, where the changes in the plan are, and you received a copy. Are there any questions?
Pretty straightforward.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion's carried. The next item under unfinished business is board members' access to materials via the computer, and Liz was going to look into that.
So I asked around, no other municipality in Broome County is paperless. The only people I found out that are using any kind of thing is the Broome County Legislature. They purchased, each of the legislators, a 10.5-inch Samsung tablet that they are assigned, and then they turn in. It's all tracked by Broome County. And that, you're looking at an investment of like $320 a piece initially. Lisa sent me some information on Chromebooks and Staples because they're working remotely. She hasn't been able to confirm if we could get the same pricing, but the school pricing Lisa had provided was around $155 a piece. The biggest thing, though, I think before we even get to equipment is figuring out how we're going to run them, because it is going to require Wi-Fi. So we need to find, I think our best bet is to have the computer man come in and give us some kind of an assessment where he could set up a secured Wi-Fi that people can't hack into. That's
So in the end, is it a cost saving?
No.
No, okay.
It could, well, there's a possibility of doing it, I think, without getting equipment for everyone. I need to know a little bit more about it. I don't fully understand all the technology involved, but I talked with other towns. Most of them are emailing the board members ahead of time. They're not putting together paper packets for the meeting like we do. And so everybody looks through their information the night before. If they have questions, then they bring it up at the meeting. So that's an idea. Carolyn and I also talked about, if you guys are trying to fumble through with an electronic device and you're not necessarily familiar, it could make the meeting go longer.
Mhm.
So maybe having one device that, like, the clerk controls and a monitor where the information's on the screen and we flip through. Like, the clerk is just in charge of flipping through during the meeting. That might be easier. I don't know all the specifics, but I think we need to find how we're going to do it if we're going to do it.
Make some more research.
Right.
I'm kind of on the fence now. I mean, if there's no real savings, then why go forward with any
Yeah,
more
we were
research?
just trying to save
Yeah.
some of all this paperwork every time.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
I
if
don't know if it's gonna be worth it.
we're chopping down a tree every meeting.
Actually,
here,
Liz
you know.
has reduced the paper
She
in
has.
half.
She has, and she sends out the
Yes.
agenda, and we get
Yep.
it, and I could even bring in my own tablet with the agenda on it if I
Right, and
had
that's
to.
what some of the boards
Yes.
are saying they're doing, is their board members are looking at it ahead of time. They're either bringing it with them, but it sounds like almost all other municipalities have some kind of Wi-Fi service in their building, which we lack.
That can be a problem, as Carolyn and I know.
Yeah.
Okay. Another thing is that we had an issue with New York State with the Wi-Fi program that was in this building, and we'd have to bypass that somehow. I don't know how we can do that, but
Right. I think there's
before
a
we go
way to-
headlong,
Right.
you know.
I think there's a way that it can be set up securely, but that's why I think we need to have a professional come in and tell us, because that's not something that I know enough about to go that route.
You're still gonna need hard copy on the agenda for the public.
Yeah, and that could be done, you know,
Sure, but I mean, what's 5 more copies? You know what I mean?
right, right. But like this stack of paper, if everybody came and got an agenda, big deal, right? But like all this other stuff, most of the other towns are also digitizing. So the one town clerk said, after the meeting and the minutes are approved, I scan them in and I throw the paper copy away. They're not even keeping paper files anymore, so.
Oh, there's no need for
I
a
don't-
vote?
I
Awesome.
don't know that I fully agree with all that, but we, you know, a
And
lot
many
of this
times we've gone
stuff
to the
we're
vault
in,
for a hard copy.
yeah.
I was gonna
Because
say,
there was
is there, Cheryl, maybe you could speak to this, is there any state, like, laws as far as, in how things have to be stored?
Are there any laws about how what has to be stored in house?
Say, like your agenda, your meeting minutes, all that?
The motions,
There's
Motions.
actually the New York State has an archives department, and there's actually an actual schedule, and I think it's like EOU1 or maybe EO education, but there's one specifically for towns and villages. The county has a separate one, and schools have their own, and it actually tells you the time period that you have to keep it. So like minutes or forever. It may tell you the medium in which you have to keep it. We can check, and I can send that to the clerk. I know
We've
certain
looked at
things
that
have
before,
to be original in the form that they're kept. Certain things have to be an original, so they can't be destroyed. Scanned and destroyed, they have to be kept in their original form. But I can get that to the clerk, and we can look through it.
Okay.
It's a long document, but I can get it to him.
It'd be good to know.
I agree. I know when I first came on, there was a lot of emails going around through my email about towns applying for the digital archives. And it's been talked about at my clerk's meetings, but I didn't fully understand it at the time. And didn't understand why they were doing it. I mean, I knew why, but to me, it wasn't affecting what I was doing, so. But
There may be certain things that you can digitally archive forever and never really keep an original, but there's certain things, and I know why too. The volume of the paper that you will acquire,
right.
whatever you can do digitally will make sense. Yeah.
So there's definitely just a lot more to be done, you know, the format of how you do it, all that stuff. So there's a lot more to know before we just decide that we want to buy equipment.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
at this point, we're probably better off just staying,
I agree.
yeah.
me too.
I agree. If it's not any cost efficiency, then why bother?
Okay, does the board have any other unfinished business they'd like to discuss?
I had
Well,
one.
I'm sorry?
I had one. I had a conversation with Floyd Bronson this week, and I realized when talking to him that I think, and I don't know if anybody brings it up or that brings it up that often, how important his job is and how dangerous it is and how little I would like to do it. You know, I don't know how the rest of you feel, but it's one of those jobs that people don't appreciate that much. So I thought I'd just say something out loud about it.
I'm
you
well
know?
aware of that,
Yes.
and it's a good thing that you did bring it up in a meeting.
I mean, people they think, dog catcher, what the heck? You know, but it's really an important job, and people don't really pay that much appreciation towards it. So
They
I
do when
just-
it affects them.
Right. So I
It
just
was
thought I'd.
very interesting a few weeks ago when I was on the Bob Joseph show, and, you know, he asked how
Mhm.
the COVID-19 was affecting the town, and I said, well, there are certain things that have to continue. And I brought up dangerous dogs, and I mean, he seemed very interested in that. He said, look, I never thought of that, but that's true.
Mhm.
I mean, it doesn't matter what's going on. If there's a dangerous dog out on a road, that people are fearful of, the dog control officer has to go out. And he's not afraid, even when there's dangerous dogs. So he has the personality to handle it. Not everybody could do that.
That's true.
So we're very fortunate.
We are.
I know in the last 2 weeks, he's had 3 dog bites.
Really?
Yeah, and the one he called me at 10 o'clock at night at home to.
He personally had a dog bite?
Well,
No,
Or
other
there was a
people.
dog bite that he
He was-
attended?
they
I think it had to do
Yeah.
with the COVID, probably, Mark.
Yeah.
Right, gotcha.
But I mean, serious things can happen. So, you know, through this whole thing, many of our services have continued
Mm-hmm.
because they have to for the protection of the public. And that's a very good example. Thank you for bringing it up. Mark.
Yep, thank Floyd.
Yep. Okay, the next, we're gonna move on to new business. Is there a motion to approve Resolution 16, 2020, standard workday reporting for elected and appointed officials?
So move.
Motion by Deputy Supervisor McIntyre,
I'll second that.
seconded by Councilman Odell. Discussion. This is a requirement by New York State, and the clerk is new to her position, so she had to keep record of your work for 3 months, right? January, February, March. And again, as a reminder, and Liz will carry through with this, anybody who's newly elected January 1st will have to keep a record of all of their work for 3 months to report to the retirement system if they're a member of the retirement system. All those in favor?
Hi.
Aye. Opposed? The motion's carried. Is there a motion to add Lucille Schwartz, Deputy Clerk, to the Town of Windsor Roll of Honor?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Councilwoman Hawk-Schuler,
I'll second that.
seconded by Deputy Supervisor McIntyre. Discussion. Lucy
Lucy
was
is-
in the position a long time.
Lucy was in the position a long time, and no one deserves it more than to be put on the honor department, especially with her brownies. I mean, they're the best. They're the best.
See where your loyalties
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
And I don't know if a lot of people know, I think you're the one, Bill, that takes care of these.
I do highway. I've always,
Okay,
since
who-
I got on the board, Liz does
Liz
the
will
other.
do the other
Yeah.
one. Okay.
Yep.
Alright.
I actually created the board to give highway some recognition, because they had none through the years, so.
That's wonderful.
Yep.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, the motion's carried. Is there a motion to authorize the supervisor to sign an agreement for New York State Electric and Gas LED street light conversion program?
How much of a savings are we gonna see on that?
Okay, first we need to
First,
get a motion.
yeah, she'll go through it with you, Mark. Here.
Yeah, go through it.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, motion by Councilman Hupman.
I'll second.
Seconded by
Go ahead.
Deputy Supervisor McIntyre. Okay. So, in the information I had, and I did discuss it with a representative of the company, is they're estimating that the annual savings will be $1,313, and the payback will be just under 8 months. So, I wondered how they got it, and we talked about the bills. It's not only the savings on supply from the LED lights, they reduced the delivery charges about half.
Oh.
So that's where the real savings comes
Mhm.
in.
So do we purchase the equipment?
We will have to pay the $867.47,
Oh, okay,
Or
I do see
the
that.
equipment for the 14 lights.
I do see that.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, the motion's carried. Is there a motion to advertise for bids for Far Road Bridge Abutment Repair Project and Ireland Road Trowbridge Creek Retaining Wall Project with bids due June 10, 2020?
So move.
Motion by Deputy Supervisor McIntyre,
Second.
seconded by Councilman Hupman. Discussion.
Yeah, this is something that's been hanging out there for a while. We've talked about this before, and this is a FEMA project. And when I was in the highway department, we used to do these retaining walls and stuff like that, but they're so busy now that they don't do them anymore. They're on their own, so they'll bid this out. They'll be reimbursed by FEMA for the contractor. What may happen is, depending on the pricing, we may have to pay the contractor ourselves, which is normal. We did it on Ostrander Road, if you remember, Carolyn.
And I think
And
sewer
then-
too.
And then be reimbursed by FEMA.
Mhm.
Sometimes we have to go out and actually borrow money, but we can borrow money real right now, so.
Yeah.
I don't think it's gonna be near as large as Ostrander Road was.
No, it's much smaller.
It's much smaller, so we may have enough in fund balance to cover it until we're reimbursed by FEMA. It seems to me, though, that FEMA's been taking longer to reimburse. It's been my experience that that's been what's happening. Because I would imagine so much damage within the United States everywhere of all types of things.
So if we don't get it in this year, what we would do is book it as a receivable in our reporting
Right.
for this year. And then it would probably receive the following year.
It's my understanding from the highway superintendent that there's 2 or 3 companies that are interested in bidding it, so.
And Liz, I believe you have all the backup
Yeah,
you need for
actually,
the advertising.
Cheryl emailed it over, the FEMA guy. He drew up the bid things and everything for me to send right to the paper, so she found a couple errors that we corrected today, and they're ready to go.
Liz, on that, are they able to receive that bid packet at highway? That's how we usually do it at the town clerk's office?
Yeah, it's in there to send them to me, and
Okay.
we'll open them at the meeting.
As long as they have access to that bid packet, that's the most important part.
Oh, they have to go download the 20 sheet, they have to do that through, there's a fee, and they download it through data flow or something. It's
Mhm.
all in there where they go to get it and everything,
Mhm.
and they have to pay a fee to get that information, but,
And the engineering firms are used to that, so.
Yep.
yeah, it's,
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the motion's carried. Does the board have any other new business? Next item is upcoming meeting. That will be June 10th, 2020, 7 p.m. here at the Windsor Town Hall. We are looking at possibly the town hall may be opened on June 1st. It's going to, again, depend on further guidance from the state and Broome County. So the meeting may be in the town hall, regular, with social distancing and other things that we need to do. Does the board have
And
any
just
other?
for the board's understanding, the executive order that allows and has allowed the remote meetings has been extended to June 6th. So even if there is openings on June 1 and the town is in part of phase 2 and that goes ahead, you may still decide to have it done remotely one more time, assuming that executive order isn't repealed.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep, we'll stay on top of it, Cheryl. Thank you. Does the board have any other business they want to bring up? We're back to public comments. We know there are some people watching and listening to our meeting, and if you have comments, if you will type them in, the clerk will read them.
I'm gonna say probably not.
And how many people have been a part of the meeting?
We had 2 sign in, it shows 9 watching.
And
now.
9 watching?
Yep.
Okay, all right. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Councilwoman Hawkschuler,
I'll second that.
seconded by Councilman Odell. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The motion's carried and the meeting's adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Liz, did you give out a rabies time and date?